Hello and welcome to the D365 Insights podcast brought to you by Source and Connect. Today's episode is Women Who Lead from Finance to Global Transformation. Today is a special one, not just because of our guest, but because this episode will land in March, and that is International Women's Month. And I am introducing you to Rebecca Rankin. Rebecca started in finance, moved into operations, then stepped into the world of Microsoft consulting at one of the biggest partners in the ecosystem, climbed into senior leadership, and is now on the client side delivering global D365 transformations. So, welcome to the podcast, Becca. I am really excited to have you here.
Very excited to be here, Sarah.
Good, good. How are you today?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Good, good.
Keeping busy and proactive.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump straight into it then. So we'll start from the beginning. You started in finance. What was the moment you realized, hang on, I'm actually obsessed with systems. Let's do this instead.
It's always a good question that I get asked all the time. So actually, it was more of a slow transition rather than one moment.
Yeah.
Um, Working in finance, very month-endy and everything else, it was just numbers, 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 late
Hmm.
nights, weekends, etc. And I literally started volunteering to redesign the process and try and automate things. Little did I know that I didn't realize at the time, but that was really the pivot into my systems thinking.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So was the move into tech a strategic decision, or did you kind of get dragged into it?
Completely accidental.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just my unofficial career strategy was pretty much to walk towards the chaos.
Yeah.
It's how I've always been. If someone said, "Oh my God, this project is a bit of a mess," I'd say, "Yep, sign me up. I'll happily take that on." It's sort of how I ended up leading sort of really big complex programs. And probably the really funny thing is I didn't actually choose tech.
Okay.
It was curiosity that chose it for me.
Yeah. Okay. And so, what's one thing people completely misunderstand about finance? Sorry, finance people stepping into systems roles.
Uh, Definitely capability.
Okay.
So people just expect typical accountants to be typical accountants, where they have the broader knowledge of what they're trying to achieve. And it was very much the finance side of things gave me the credibility, but the systems side of things gave me the leverage.
Yeah. So, when you moved into systems, did you have to do any sort of, presumably you had to do some training? Did you take any qualifications on in dynamics or in the system particularly?
I've done quite a few sort of MB courses through
Yeah.
Microsoft. Obviously, a little bit later went more into the program management. So did my Prince 2, and then currently studying my PMP through the PMI. So over the years, I've sort of kept up with what's happening, especially in the dynamic space with
Yeah.
features and releases. So you're constantly learning, but
Yeah.
yeah, they were the initial things that started me off.
Yeah. But very much on the job, I expect you to sort of learn, thrown
Yes,
in at the deep end.
absolutely.
Okay. So moving into the Hitachi era. So you obviously were working at Hitachi for many years. Um, like many other Microsoft partners, they're well known for being high performing and fast paced. What was the biggest shock to the system when you joined Hitachi?
So I think probably the biggest shock is I actually went into Hitachi. I was headhunted from another company. and I was end user side. I went to go into consulting, and I pretty much ended up managing all of the mid and back office and the growth of Hitachi at that stage, because we were quite small, quite entrepreneurial,
Mhm.
um, and the growth and change within the company as it followed. And then I just progressed as I moved through.
Yeah. So you were headhunted from an end user and you were in finance at that time?
Yeah, so I was doing finance and Dynamics 2012. So
Okay.
we were doing that implementation. I was doing it from an SME perspective.
Yeah.
Um, just picked up the solution because I'm just that way
Yeah.
minded.
Yeah.
And then yeah, worked with Hitachi for just over a year on the end user side, and is when I transitioned into consulting.
So they were the implementation partner, which is often how that happens, isn't it? And then you kind
Yes.
of got a taste for it, I see, and then you went over to Hitachi. Fantastic. So you climbed from operations director to VP of business systems. What did that rise actually look like behind the scenes for you?
Oh, blimey. Probably I learned that scale changes everything.
Yeah,
Very much so. It's not just about the systems, it's about the operating model. So obviously running a 48 million P&L,
yeah,
and having over 400 consultants at the time, it was very much clarity beats complexity every single time. And that was sort of down to having really, really clear ownership and really clear governance. And I suppose that was the real change of when I sort of stopped being a finance leader and really became a business leader.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Governance is something that comes up in nearly every podcast I ever do. It's always a key part of everything. Um, so what's a moment from your Hitachi years that would never make it onto your CV but absolutely shaped you?
Belief,
Yeah,
absolutely belief. So I
yeah,
was really given an opportunity at Hitachi, and it just gave me the confidence to grow fully and achieve what I wanted to achieve. So it was having people believe in me and me
yeah,
believing in myself. So
yeah,
yeah, that's the one thing you can't write on your CV.
yeah, absolutely. No, that's fantastic advice for anybody that's listening to this. You mentioned that you were managing 400, over 400 consultants. What's the wildest consulting chaos story you can share with us?
Oh, blimey. I think there's far too many, and I'm not sure most of them are shareable.
Yeah,
Um, but I think in consulting, there's chaos everywhere. It's inevitable. It's part of the program adjustment. It's just how you manage that, how you manage the people, how you drive that strategy and delivery forwards.
hmm
So yeah, there's always going to be chaos. You're always going to have to pivot. It's just how you tend to deal with it.
yeah. And it sounds to me like you quite enjoy that side of things. You tend to gravitate towards the problem solving and yeah,
Yes,
being in the
yeah,
thick of it.
yeah, very much in my nature.
Yeah. So you've lived through multiple D365 implementations. What's the biggest myth about ERP transformations that you wish you could erase from the industry?
Preparation. Um, it's often not considered or deemed necessary,
hmm
and it it's literally the keystone to an effective implementation. Um, if you don't have that in place from day one, even before you look at RFP or look at a provider, um, if you don't have that stone as your starting point, that is probably the biggest issue I
Yeah,
see regularly.
yeah, definitely. So, what's the most underrated skill in a successful ERP rollout, would you say?
It's got to be adaptability.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think you've got to constantly be thinking on your feet. If
Hmm.
you, I'm lucky enough, I understand the solution enough that I can pivot quickly.
Yeah.
But it's being able to be adaptable at every stage, and that's one partly the solution,
Hmm.
um, and what's achievable and what's not achievable. It's being able to manage expectations and manage people as well at all levels.
Yeah. And so, would you say adaptability for any sort of skill set on the program? Obviously, you're at the top and a program director, program manager level, but I guess that's key for any skill set within the program, be it solution architect or data migration. Would you say adaptability is up there key with every single skill set?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. You
yeah,
you could have the most perfect data in the world and still hit a snag with an API. So
yeah,
yeah, you've constantly got to be thinking on your feet.
yeah, absolutely. So you've saved organizations millions. What is the secret sauce behind making a D365 program actually deliver return on investment?
So I think about it in probably a slightly different way
Yeah,
to most people, and that is a transformation isn't really all about the tech.
yeah,
Um, the system's the easy bit.
hmm,
It's the people that are the
yeah,
hard bit.
hmm,
So my job becomes less about the software and more about the clarity and the trust and the confidence.
hmm.
And I
And business
think that's
change.
where, yeah,
Mm,
absolutely, it's where you become a strategic problem solver who can direct leadership with that governance.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we'll move on to sort of Hitachi. Move on from Hitachi, and you've obviously been at an end user since then. So after years in consulting, what made you say, right, I'm going to go to the end user side now?
I think from Hitachi, even though it was a consulting company, I was very mid back office. So I was sort of on the borderline between consulting and end user.
Yeah.
Liked being on the end user side of things. I can see when companies are struggling, um, the possibility of a project going into recovery. I know how to dig them out of that, and guide them through the journey. And that's where my skills really come into play.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll be able to manage the partner relationship as well, very well, being on both sides, I'd imagine.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So within your previous role that you were in, you were rolling out D365 across 50 plus global entities. What's the moment so far where you thought this is huge? Why do I do this?
I think when I first went into South Pole, I literally went in as recovery on a 3-month contract. Um, I walked in and my instinct was to turn around and walk back out. Um, but the company, as I said, it's getting that stone in place, that building stone in place at the beginning, and it's something South Pole didn't have in place. They didn't have business readiness in place. There was no sort of real structure, no governance. Yeah, it frequently left me. What have I done to myself? But yeah, it it wasn't an easy journey to get the program back on track. It was challenging. There was some difficult decisions, um, controlling an out of control budget.
Yeah.
Um, but it was all achievable and we could turn it around. So, yeah, there was quite a few bad days in there where you just think, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But it's that achievement at the end of it that really drives you forward.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that many programs are in that sort of position when you reach them, especially if they are a rescue project,
Yeah,
which is why they get
absolutely.
somebody like you in there to come and sort things out. Um, so how different is the politics, pace, and pressure compared to consulting?
Very, very different. You're dealing with senior leadership. They've probably never been through an implementation of this magnitude before. There's probably a little bit more red tape and a little bit of hierarchy and structure that you need to go through. Um, so to do that well, you have to carefully walk them through the entire process with clear direction. Um, but yeah, it's their budget, it's their money, it's their implementation, their system, where that's a very different take from a provider perspective.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you've led enormous teams and multi-million pound programs. What's your leadership style when the pressure is sky high?
So I think my value is bringing something slightly different. And that's probably calm, structure, clarity, and challenge.
Yeah,
Um, I think if you've just got those four structures in place, you can get through anything.
yeah, yeah. And so what's a decision you made that felt risky at the time but changed everything?
Probably at South Pole, we took the project was 2 years in with only one small pilot live. And I decided to take the whole project back in to explore.
Okay.
Uh, it was a huge risk, um, but actually taking us back and building the foundation, listening to the users rather than jumping into solutions. Uh, and it turns out that was actually incredibly useful, where everyone else is panicking, when are we going to go live? When are we going to go live? It was just taking us back to basics and understanding the scope.
Yeah. Okay. No, brilliant. So what's the most powerful thing a leader ever did for you, and how has that shaped how you lead now?
Opportunity.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think the people at Hitachi really gave me an opportunity when I joined with them.
Mm.
And then that in turn has probably made me stretch work, has accelerated my growth,
Yeah.
and that's accelerated my growth more than a promotion ever did.
Yeah. And so you like to lead in that way from the positive experiences that you had at Hitachi.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we all do that, don't we? We have past experiences, whether it's a manager or a company, and you say, okay, I really like how that person managed me, or I don't like particularly how that person managed me, and you kind of then form your own management style, haven't you? Which is something that's quite new to me with managing people. So yeah, I can relate to that. So moving on then, what's one uncomfortable truth about transformation programs that nobody wants to admit?
Transformations won't fix broken business process.
Okay.
Um, it's it's a key fundamental. You could have all of your business processes documented, but if they're not done well, um, and the business isn't ready for that growth, the transformation won't fix. the problems that the business has currently got.
Mm, very good advice. So if you could ban one phrase from ERP projects forever, what would that be?
It's not standard.
Okay.
I think both from being on the consulting provider side and from the end user side, uh, the terminology "it's not standard" just get bounded around, and
Yep.
that's not the defining point. It's whether it's standard or not standard, there's got to be a way to get to what you want to achieve. And then shutting the door with "it's not standard" just isn't an option for me.
Yeah. So in what context, what does that mean it's not standard? Why do people say that? And who would say that? Is that the end user? Is that consultants that you're working with? Help me understand what that
It's
means.
more, yeah, it's more consultants. So
Okay.
they follow their process. They know the solution. They're incredibly skillful at their
Mhm.
jobs.
Yeah.
Um, but I think Dynamics has certain things which are just standard rollout, very vanilla.
Yeah.
And saying it's not standard doesn't necessarily mean it's going to generate a change request or development. It could be managed by changing the business, how the business is doing that process, for
Mhm.
example, or reverting back to customization and just challenging what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve, where you do get cut off quite frequently of "it's not standard, that's it, we can't do it." There's
Yeah.
You need to be able to be adjustable.
Yeah. Yeah. And adaptable, which is what we were talked about earlier.
Yes.
Um, okay, so moving on to sort of personal growth and career evolution. So looking back, what's the moment in your career that changed your trajectory?
So it probably evolved over time. Um, I was just in a position where I just kept fixing things
Yeah.
um, until someone literally turned around and said, "Congratulations, you run systems and transformations now." Um, and it
Okay.
was just like, "Oh, yeah, I do."
Yeah.
Um, and it just evolved over time. I think it was always having that curiosity, always wanting to understand, yes, we have that number, but how do we get there? Um, and and always driving that and wanting to understand it.
Yeah. And what's the achievement you're secretly most proud of, the one that still makes you smile?
Probably soft skills. I don't think we shout out enough about soft skills.
Yeah.
Um, but it's probably my ability to be sort of adaptable, being able to pivot quickly, be able to speak to people at all different levels, and be able to read the room and understand what that individual is going through at that point and be
Yeah.
able to support them.
Yeah. That's actually really interesting because I probably don't ask people enough in the recruitment world about their soft skills. So actually, that's a really good pointer for me and for my clients as well when I'm representing candidates. So thank you for that. Um, so what excites you the most about where finance systems are heading?
Probably transparency and data.
Mm,
It's allowing companies to be able to make really, really good informed decisions. I
yeah,
think with everything that's happening with the economy and the microclimate and AI, etc., it's having that transparency in the data. that
Yeah.
is really, really going to drive things forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think the finance leader of 2030 will look like? Not that far away
So
now.
I know it's yeah, I know, crazy. Um, I think a lot of CFOs and FDs that are in my network and everything else, they are becoming more system orientated. I
Hmm.
think again, that's just sort of a natural evolution in the economy.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm seeing a real drive to take that ownership and accountability, and that can only make the sector a far better place. Is you've not got somebody sat at that high level just reporting numbers. They're
Yeah.
actually wanting to understand how we've got there as well, even if it's sort of a slightly higher level.
Hmm.
Um, and that's monumental in driving performance.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of businesses are obviously using AI now to help them with that and really understanding the customer insights within
Yes,
the business. Yeah, amazing. So if you were starting your career again today, what skill would you prioritize first?
confidence and self belief.
Yeah.
I think if you have confidence and self belief, anything's possible and
Mm.
everything's achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been sort of throughout the podcast, you've kind of come to that a few times about belief and confidence. And I think moving on to some questions around International Women's Month in a moment, I think that a lot of women in in business quite often can lack a bit of confidence and self-belief. And what's the phrase that we all use? And I can't remember it now. Um, I've got a brain
The
freeze.
syndrome,
What was it? Sorry?
imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Thank you. Imposter syndrome. We all have a bit of imposter syndrome, and it tends to, and that men have that too, but it tends to be more predominant in women. Um, so yeah, moving on to a few questions around the International Women's Month. So when you look back at your career, what's a moment where you thought, I'm genuinely proud of the woman I've become professionally?
Um, I think it's probably at Hitachi, I was given such a massive opportunity.
Mm.
Um, I'd been very, very much sort of finance, even though I'd done sort of ERP implementations previously and sort of been the business process owner, I'd sort of gone through that transition, but it was having that opportunity and somebody to believe in me and promote me and give me that confidence.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you've operated in senior roles across finance, tech, and consulting, industries that aren't always female heavy. What has that actually felt like for you?
Sometimes, like I was the only woman in the room,
Yeah.
um, which isn't isn't always easy.
Mm.
Um, and I think early on, I probably thought that meant that I needed to adapt, and that was be louder, be
Yeah.
tougher, be a bit more corporate alpha. Um, but it's quite exhausting how to constantly be like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably not very authentic either.
Mhm.
And that's when I sort of realized I don't need to match the room.
Yeah.
Um, my value was bringing something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've learned as we've gone on that diverse teams perform better by bringing those different skills into the room as well, haven't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, that must have been quite tough. Like I say, having to kind of put on that persona to be bigger and yeah, stand out in a room where you're sort of the minority. Um, so have you ever been underestimated, and how did you handle that?
Um, yeah, have been underestimated. It was in a very male-oriented room, and I was the only female um, at the time in that room, and it was talking about deferred revenue and WIP,
Okay. Yeah.
and I was very underestimated of they didn't think I understood.
Okay.
Um, and I basically took a whiteboard pen on the whiteboard and drew out pretty much the T charts of this is where all the debits and credits are, and this is how
Hmm.
it works, and this is how it's broken down. And that was around sort of how we deal with the T&M side of consulting, how we deal with the fixed price side of consulting, and obviously sort of the managed service, the call off, the subscription and everything else, and where the revenue and where the costs were sitting at any one time
Yeah.
on the P&L and the balance sheet. And I
Hmm.
think that just blew them away of somebody can actually stand there and just write it out off the top of their head on a T chart.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I was just about to say what was their reaction to that, but you've told me that it blew them away.
Yes.
But how funny that it blew them away. But because you were a woman, do you think, or why do you think that blew them away?
Um, yeah, because I, as a woman who'd come from a very finance background,
Mm,
who was moving into the tech side of things, and I don't think they could quite fathom.
yeah,
Um, it's a woman who knows finance and tech, and I think
yeah,
at that stage it wasn't very common out
yeah.
there in the space.
Mm,
Um, and then yeah, it was just that shock from them of wow,
yeah. Well, a good feeling for you.
yes, very much so.
So, who are the women who shaped your career and what did they teach you?
So there's probably been a few, some good,
Mhm.
some bad.
Yeah.
Um, some really, really strong people. Were probably going back early in my career and really guided me and really encouraged me. Um, so that was probably that what started giving me the perspective on my career
Mm,
and how I could move forwards. And yeah, there was some people within my career that um, were probably not as friendly.
yeah.
And even though they were a woman, were not really had that woman ethic and that woman growing in an industry.
Mm,
Um, so it absolutely shaped me not to become like that. And it was more around, you know, what I could give and how I got there rather than turning everything around all of the time and fighting for it.
mhm.
It was just really evolved me into if you jump in, support and give, you'll get more back. And that's really what drove me forwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's about supporting each other as well. And that's very much what International Women's Day and International Women's Month is about, isn't it? And now that's kind of evolved. And I've been similar in my career as well, where I've had women that I've really aspired to and then women that I've really not got on with. But I think as the years have gone on and we have been a lot more open about the struggles that women have in business, and then having these events and these, special months or special days to kind of support each other. And I think, well, I hope to think that women are a lot more supportive of each other within, not just within business, personally too, and trying to, yeah, boost each other up.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a change for the better
Yes.
happening throughout the world, and I've really, really seen it probably over the last sort of 10, 15 years. I think
Mm,
very early on in my career, um, it could be quite brutal.
yeah.
Um, and now it's more, I very much take the approach of, if I can give somebody within my team like that ownership,
Hmm.
I can gain the trust. If I can give them support, I
Yeah.
can gain in my network. If I can give them opportunities, I can gain in scale.
Yeah.
Um, and when you start to do all of that, you build credibility.
Mm, absolutely. Yes. So you're speaking at our International Women's Day event. So I've not mentioned this on the podcast, but I will now. So Source and Connect are running a D365 careers group for women, which we've set up on LinkedIn, and we're doing an International Women's Day event. And Becca is going to be one of the speakers. We've got three people who are speaking at the event. So what message are you most excited to share about um, at the International Women's Day event?
So I think it's more sort of who I am and what my next goals are.
Mhm.
Um, it's not just about bigger programs and bigger titles. It's more about, having that impacting, doing more mentoring, more sponsorship, and helping more women step into architecture and leadership roles within this space. Um, we're still a minority. It is getting better, but it's breaking down some of those silos that we still see in tech and transformation.
Mm, absolutely. And I'm really looking forward to it. We won't talk too much about that, otherwise, we'll give all of our secrets away from the event. Um, but so we're coming to the last few questions now. What advice would you give to women who want to step into big roles but feel not quite ready?
Believe in yourself. Um, I think it's a huge thing. It's been a huge thing for me in my career. Um, I have been fortunate where I have been given opportunities, but it's fix the problems and it will naturally come.
You say that you're fortunate that you've been given opportunities. I would probably push back and challenge that you probably weren't given those opportunities. You probably attracted those opportunities for a reason, because you're very good at what you do. And I often find that opportunities don't just land in people's laps. Would you agree?
Um, yeah,
That's
probably
having
would
the
agree.
confidence and the belief.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's having that self-confidence
Mm.
as well and being able to do that. Something I obviously still need to work on a little bit, but
Sorry, just put challenging you there. But no, this is great though, because having this event that we're going to do, we can support each other and give each other that confidence and belief as well. Um, so finally, what's the one thing you want women listening to this episode to take away from this story?
uh, probably none of us should feel like we're figuring out this alone.
Yeah.
Um, there are more women out there there's more women moving from finance into tech. And I think if I can make somebody else's path a little shorter and a little less intimidating, then that really feels like success to me.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so quick fire round. Um, One thing you wish every CFO understood.
Uh, Probably that they've employed somebody and trust that person because that person has that skill set and
Yeah.
that's why they were employed.
Mm, yeah, very good advice. And what is your leadership superpower?
Probably leadership superpower is my ability to adjust
Yeah,
um, and think outside the box is, and that's, with people and solutions and with the direct team and the wider team, etc. It's just that ability to be able to read the room.
100%. And a career moment that you'd relive in a heartbeat.
Career moment that I would relive. Um, I would probably absolutely say our internal go live at Hitachi
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
for the European business. We did a very quick turnaround. Not everything was absolutely perfect from day one. Um, but that taught me a lot of if you can get 80% there and fix the 20% as you go on, that is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So that was probably quite defining for me.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, Becca, for coming on to the podcast. It's been a great journey to go through with you and the listeners as well. So, yeah, thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you at the Women's Day event.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sarah. This has just been an incredible opportunity. And yeah, absolutely looking forward to IWD.
Yeah, brilliant. So to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Not sure where you're listening, but you can get us on Spotify and YouTube. You can also listen to our episodes on the Source and Connect website, and you can follow us on LinkedIn. To anybody that's listening who may have been really inspired by Becca today, Becca and I are working together in finding her next opportunity. Particularly interested to get herself into an end user on either a greenfield or rescue project. So please do reach out to me directly if there are any opportunities. Thank you again, Becca. It's been amazing speaking to you, and to our listeners, I will see you next time.
Lovely. Thanks,
Thank you.
Sarah.